Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. This week I am making an almond omelet. I feel like it should be called a caramel omelet with almonds because of the presence of caramel, which is the first thing I'm going to make. This is what she calls a caramel sauce, which is just going to be sugar and water. There's no butter or cream in it. And I make it by putting it in a relatively hot pan. I have it over medium-high heat, and the recipe says to do it in the omelet pan, but my omelet pan is cast iron and I would not be able to see the color, and also it doesn't really have any sides. It's a griddle. So I'm doing it in this pan. I can see the color change and let you see the process. And this happens very quickly. I do have it sped up, but this turned into a golden syrup in under 5 minutes. And you really do need to stir it constantly, not walk away. Don't look at your cuticles. Don't talk to your husband or wife, child, cat, dog, your toes. Just watch the pan. Because once it's burnt, your home's going to stink and you have to start over. A sweet omelet may sound unusual, but from what I can tell in this cookbook, these were in vogue at the time because there are multiple sweet omelet recipes in the book, and I will be making some of the others. This one just sounded really delicious to me. And if you think about it, eggs don't have a lot of flavor, so this really is just like making a crepe. It's a nice gluten-free dessert as well if you have gluten tolerance problems or someone that you like to cook for or will be cooking for has gluten intolerance problems. I see it coming together. It needs to get a light golden color. It's going to happen very fast. And to this I'm going to add hot water. So I have the kettle going. And I have to say, I'm kind of mortified because I know better. But even people who know better sometimes make mistakes. I could edit it out, but we can show our mistakes as humans on YouTube. I add the hot water while my spoon is still in the pan, and that is not best practices. There should be nothing in the pan but the syrup when I add the hot water. Generally what you do so it doesn't crystallize is just swirl the liquid around in the pan with no spoon of any kind, not wooden, not metal. You see it bubbles up. If you've ever made candy, you know how this goes. So I only added half at first. This is a small pan and it's very close to my hand, so the heat I definitely could feel. But now the worst is over. I'll get the spoon out and just swirl it, and it needs to simmer about 10 minutes. See, now it's silky and beautiful. And I'm just going to now transfer it to another container and let it cool off a bit because I do have to add some of it to the egg batter, not just as a finishing touch to the omelet itself. And I don't want to add steaming hot syrup to the eggs. So I'm going to separate the eggs from the yolks and whip the egg whites until they are stiff and very dry. So this is a puffy style omelet, and I've done this before in another 1 or 2 recipes. I know the bread omelet that is in the eggs playlist used this method as well. And I used my Cuisinart Smart Stick. I love this. You've seen me use it before. Gets those egg whites done, and then I've got to get the yolks thick and lemon colored before I add in the other ingredients. So to that I'm going to add just a few grains of salt and some vanilla. And to make sure the bowl doesn't slip, I'm going to put a silicone pad under it because I want to add the warm caramel in small amounts to temper the eggs. So I will only have one hand free to do that. I just dribble it in slowly. The recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of the caramel sauce into the egg mixture. And from there I begin to fold in the egg whites, and I start off with half of them just to loosen up the batter. And I use the cut down the middle and fold up from the bottom method to do that. I'll scrape down the sides so you can see what's going on in the bowl. Now once I get that done, I'm going to put some butter on my omelet pan. That's my cast iron griddle I love because nothing sticks to it, as you will see at the end when I take the omelet out. And sprinkle over the sliced almonds. And I turn the heat down very, very low, or else the nuts will burn and the caramel, the sugar in it, will burn. So I generally, once I put an omelet onto the pan, I put a cover over it and turn off the heat. You can see the weight of the caramel did not entirely mix with the egg, but that's just fine. It will be delicious. I was really excited to try this. I thought the texture of the silky eggs against the crunchy almonds would be nice. And then I cover it until the top looks dry. That doesn't take very long. The residual heat will heat it up. And my camera ended up not being on when I was taking it out, so I ended up making a regular flat omelet, which honestly I prefer those anyway. So that's what you're seeing, and you see how it comes right out of the pan. And it looks like a crepe. And then you pour over the caramel sauce. And it's ready, but I'm going to gild the lily and put on some whipped cream, because why not? I actually have some that I needed to use up. And let's give it a taste. It looks like maple syrup and breakfast, doesn't it? It is so tasty. I wanted to make another one right away and eat a second one. So yes, that is the almond omelet with caramel sauce.